Welcome to the Beacon House Podcast, recorded live in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Beacon House. This will definitely be our Halloween episode. This should be airing right around Halloween sometime. We miss you guys. Before we get into this episode too much, I want to give a big shout out to my co-host Grace. Grace could not be with us today. She's very busy, but she wanted to say happy Halloween to everybody. And in her place today, we have a very special replacement guest host. Ladies and gentlemen, Babs Benson is here today. Babs, say hello to everyone.
Hello.
Tell everyone who you are and what you do.
I'm Babs, and I do hair, specifically curly hair, curl specialist. I have grown kids, and I am a new grandma this year. So that's me.
That is correct.
Woot woot.
Woot. Okay, and Babs is going to be helping us co-host a returning guest of the podcast, probably one of our most legendary guests. Frequently, we always talk. You guys, if you listen to this podcast, all you hear us talk about Frightworks and all the cool stuff that goes there. But there's a lot more to this gentleman than just his experience at Frightworks. But please, everybody, give it up for Dustin Payne. He is back here for Halloween. What up?
Yay!
Hello. I'm still shocked that you just said you have a grandchild.
Right?
You don't look that old. Because you're not that old. But still, I'm very shocked.
I had a glow up about 8 years ago.
A glow up.
Well, congratulations on the young one.
For the listeners, can you explain what a glow up is exactly?
It's like when you get hotter as you get older instead of the reverse. I'm in that small group where
Jesus, get over yourself.
I'm fairly modest about it, but I've worked hard.
I'm kidding.
Sorry.
Yeah, not your typical granny that you would picture.
Right.
And so, yeah, and you guys have actually met before. So I believe, if I'm correct, if I'm tracking this correctly, the first time you guys met is when we came and did the behind-the-scenes Frightworks tour.
Yes.
Which was amazing. I've talked about it a little bit on here, but it was so, for lack of a better term, illuminating to see like inside with the lights on.
What you did there.
But it was amazing. And when we went back through it this past week, I remember seeing all the stuff and going, oh yeah, I remember like there were certain props that I knew, like we were in the one room, all the names on the canisters behind me meant something, little stuff like that. So it really added a lot to the experience. But I believe that's when you two met. But also, you guys are both at CreepyCon. Can you guys talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it was, I thought the other day, or with the Behind the Scream story, we were talking just before we started recording, and we were like, yeah, we were both at CreepyCon. She was in the fashion show. And, I've been a part of CreepyCon Halloween and Horror Convention. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's Knoxville's biggest Halloween and horror convention that we have at the Knoxville Convention Center. And you were in the fashion show. And we just now realized that we had been speaking to each other the whole day Saturday. And neither one of us remembered it until you showed me the picture of the costume you were in.
Yeah, 2 months later, like, oh, that did happen. Yeah.
And that was chaos. That was this was like the smallest backstage we've ever had at CreepyCon.
And there were so many of us against that wall.
So many.
People just taking off clothes, putting them on. Like there was I felt like 500 people were lined up against the wall, but it was really, it was awesome. And then like the ones still dressed up walked around afterwards, and it was a good time.
It was a crazy time.
So fast forward to this Halloween season at Frightworks. I guess it's okay to go ahead and we'll just drop the bomb so we can get into the stories or whatever.
Let's do it.
This is going to be your last season with Frightworks because you're leaving Tennessee for greater, bigger horizons.
Yeah, but where are you going?
So I have...
What state? Just say the
Florida.
state. Right. I'm so confused at that because like Tennessee is a clusterfuck as it is. And then like you're such this great person and yet you're going to Florida.
I've had some people, Florida has been a very hot topic in the news but they had, the whole don't say gay and the drag ban and all of these things that have just been going on, and it's been crazy. And I've had people say, you're a part of the LGBT plus community. Why would you do that? And I was like, have you seen what's going on in Tennessee? Like, it's the same stuff.
Same. Yeah.
It's the same. It's crazy, and I hate it. And, I don't care what, other people's opinions are and crazy things like that. But I'm just like, it's where I want to be. It's the theme park capital of the world, theme parks, hospitality. Here we are talking about me being a general manager of a haunted attraction in Knoxville. It's what I do. And I told myself over the last 10 years that if I want to move to Florida, I want to work in the theme park world again. and I have to do it before I'm 35. And I turned 30 this month.
Okay.
So I was like, I've got 5 years, and everything just kind of lined up perfectly. And I was like, this is it. I'm in the line for a few different positions at a couple of different properties. I haven't gotten any yeses from any of these places. I've got a few no's on a couple of things, but they're hiring executive level positions at all these parks right now. Like, there is no middle management positions available. And I'm like, I could not be a chief marketing officer of a theme park. Like, I am not that qualified. Like, I might do Frightworks videos and be on like the screen, but I am by no way am I like, let me go be a CMO of like Walt Disney World or Legoland, because I totally know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Okay.
So we're flying by the seat of our pants.
Okay.
I mean, why not? And you know what, man? Like, just some of the stories you've told about how tough it is to get everything ready for the Frightworks season, and like you were even telling us just the other day, like putting the walls on the gift shop, like right at the very end. I feel like if there's anybody that thrives in a situation where they can wing it, it is Dustin for sure. I think you're going to be fine. So, man, where to start? Babs, you said you had some questions for Dustin about Frightworks down through the years, or like some of the, he's told some of these stories to us before, but you've never got a chance.
Yeah, I mean, well, I had a few, like, best type of group to go through and the worst type of group to go through. I can start with that. Like, do you like bigger groups, or is it better if it just happens to be a couple that gets separated and they're by themselves? Like,
that's an interesting question. So for us, typically the largest group that we allow to go in is a group size of 8. We don't like them more than 5 or 6, because then you're not getting the best show. Your group's so large that when someone in the front sets off an animatronic, it runs its whole show and stops, but doesn't have a chance to reset before the back of the group comes in.
Okay.
But some people, they want to go through like that. And we're like, okay, you're paying the same price as that couple on a date, but okay. For me personally, doing it through the years, starting out as a performer, I'm not condoning doing any form of substance, whether it be whatever, and going into a haunted attraction, because that can be irresponsible. But sometimes those groups that come in that have had a good night, they've been out eating and drinking with their friends, and they're a little on the tipsy side, they think everything is either very, very scary, and then at the flip of a switch, it's really, really funny. So those people
I can appreciate that.
Yes. And that is one thing I've always taught and always said to performers is scare the group. And if they don't react to a scare, make them laugh.
Okay.
Either, because you can walk out or piss them off. Those are the 3 things in the haunt world.
What does pissing them off look like? Like just annoying them?
Yes, because we teach
ship sailed.
We teach our performers, if people are being disrespectful to you, if they've got a camera in their face, if they're touching you, you just turn around and you walk out of the room.
Yeah.
And they don't get the privilege of seeing the fun that is in that room.
Yeah.
I think that's a good way to handle it, because I mean, at some point, how many different ways can you possibly handle that except by being a professional? It sucks that people take advantage. Again, we could go on and on about all the bad things in the world. It sucks that people suck, but they do, and it just sucks that, because Frightworks is such a well managed attraction with so many wonderful things to offer, and so many people have a good time there. But
what's the perfect guest look like?
The perfect guests are the ones that come in, and as soon as you go into the front room and they start to set up the story, they'll ask you a question like, "Are you my group here to tour the vault today?" And they're like, "Yep, that's me." We love those people, because most of our actors that are speaking and doing those things, it's all improvisation. So they're going to bounce off of the energy that the customers give them. And if the customers are having a good time back with them, they're going to get a much better show. They're going to get a lot more jokes. They're going to get a lot more scares. And if guests are responding well to the performers, they'll jump out, they'll do their scare, and then they'll leave, they'll go back into hiding. And if that group is having a good time, they'll attack them again.
Yeah.
And they'll keep going with these people until they get out of their zone that is their responsibility, because they are giving such good reactions that it just gives those actors energy to keep on going. So, and that's a wide range of people. We have more people like that, fortunately, than the people that are rude.
Yeah. Okay.
we had one, I remember this last time we went through, one guy came out, and I had gotten to the back of the pack. I was even behind Babs, and we're going through, there's a whole bunch of people in front of us. Some of them were struggling with it. Some of them were doing okay. A couple of them just took off fast, at the beginning, which is funny. That was our friend, Hannah, and her husband, Tyler. And they just completely disappeared. Like we couldn't even catch up to them at all.
They were outside waiting.
We ran into them later at the gift shop, and they said that they had toyed with the idea of like muting, like blocking their phones and like temporarily disabling their social media, just literally disappearing completely for about an hour. And we go, what really happened to them? They actually disappeared inside Frightworks. But we all got together at the end, and it was great, and they had a good time. It was their first time. But there was one part where we were coming around a corner or something, and an actor came out with like an axe or something and sort of tapped me on the shoulder because I was in the back, and made the he gave the shush lips, like don't say anything. So all of a sudden me and this guy are in cahoots, and I let him in line in front of me. So he's between like us sneaking up on all you guys, and I'm in cahoots with him back there. Like we're working together to make this thing happen. It was awesome.
You felt special, didn't you?
Yeah. And when we finally split off, I gave him the thumbs up. I was like, way to go, dude. Like, let me know if you need any help. Like,
Now, see, I'll go back to your question, say what's a good group and a bad group. That is an example of a good group. That actor realized he wasn't going to be able to scare you, so he worked with you to scare other people in your group. But the thing that I hate is when groups come around the corner and you jump out and scare someone, and then the guy's just pointing and he's like, get them, he's around the corner. And it's like, that is just so annoying.
Yeah.
Because everyone in the group can hear this guy talking to the actor. So then it's like, everyone in the group knows the guy with the hatchet's behind you now. So the element of surprise is gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
So you did good. You got A+ for audience interaction. Good job.
We tried to be good. I tried to work my magic. And also Babs was great. I mean, how was your overall experience? I feel like you had a good time.
So I feel like a poser because I don't watch horror movies. I look like the type of girl that would be all into it, but honestly, haunted houses are it for me. Like I love them. They're great. And so I used to like sing when I would go through them to kind of distract. So the fact that we did the VIP and got to see it all with the lights on was just amazing. And I feel like too, though, having a theater background and being a set builder and a set designer, like I was all giddy about it. And I think there were so many times where I was like, fuck me. Like I just kept getting startled, but I loved it. But I think part of my love for it was because I saw it with the lights on, illuminated, as you put it.
And that definitely added another layer to me. Like I said, as we were going through it for real, all of a sudden I knew all these little backstories behind every one of the little props, and it was just it just adds a lot to it. But I noticed you having a lot of fun. There was a lot of times we got tickled in it.
Yeah.
And like, I feel like you were living your best life as we went through it.
There was one.
You thrived.
There's a puppet or something that was screaming. I was like, oh my gosh, that reminds me of my kid. Like, and then I got called like a harlot by a nun.
That was
a harlot.
That was the funniest.
A harlot by a nun, and I started shaking. I was like, yeah.
Hey, you'll like to know this. So the performer that was the nun the night that you came through, that was her first time ever being in that role. She's a brand new performer to Frightworks this year. It's her first season. And you were not the only person that said something to me about her performance that night. And she ended up getting what we call the Haunter of the Night Award. Where all of our management staff, we listen to customer feedback and we watch the actors behind the scenes. And she was actually awarded the Haunter of the Night Award that night for having the best performance. So
yes,
I mean, what a first night to get Babs coming through there. Fucking
it was great.
Yeah, she was like the evil nun, and like kind of from like the Conjuring movies, like that series. And she said something. She was trying to, they do a good job of like trying to keep you moving through the thing because they're aware of the continuity of it. But she said something like "Go on, you damn harlot." Fucking Babs turned around and was just like, "Oh yeah, baby, you know how I like it." I was like, "Oh, she barked up the wrong fucking tree with this one here." Shit.
It was fun. But that was okay. So what's your favorite character / prop? And what's your least favorite?
Well, my favorite is obviously Gertrude, because I have such fond memories of playing Gertrude for the last 10 years. But I think my favorite character this year, it's a toss-up between Harvey the Harvester, who's one of our Q-Line performers.
So good. So good.
He walks around, he's got a burlap sack for a head.
Yeah. Was it the radishes on his belly?
They're turnips.
Okay, I remember. I played with those.
And that is actually a meme on Instagram right now where these people were calling him like onions or something. And he does not speak. He's not a speaking character. And he was getting so mad that these teenagers kept calling them what they weren't. And he was like, "They're turnips." And so
he broke the code.
Well, no, he can. He just doesn't. He doesn't like to talk because Harvey's that whimsical character. But it's so funny because now their turnips is kind of a meme with the teenagers on Instagram right now. So that's funny. And then he has carrots for fingers. He has these giant carrots for fingers. And then my other character that is a really hard, that I kind of think is my favorite right now, is Shattered Jack. Which, if you've looked at, you see our Frightworks hoodies and our shirts the last couple of years, we've had this jack-o'-lantern on there. It's just a jack-o'-lantern. Well, this year, we took him off of the jack-o'-lantern and we created a real character. Deanna, our costume designer, created this character. We got a giant jack-o'-lantern from I think it was Michael's or somewhere, one of the craft stores. We cut a hole in the bottom of it. We put mesh on the inside of it. And then he's wearing this lederhosen outfit.
Oh.
And he's in this little tiny room right before you right before you get where the kids are there, and they're chanting to the Pumpkin King towards the end. And the costume is done, it's so simple, but it's done so well that when people walk in that room, we've actually had comments of guests going, "Oh, that's an animatronic." So the actors have kind of gotten into this motion where they're presenting this character as not a human. And then suddenly he just becomes animated, and he's so adorable. There's nothing scary about this guy, but he is just so freaking cute.
I remember it.
And every person loves this character because they set up the whole end of the attraction as guests are getting ready to meet the Pumpkin King.
Yeah.
And people are coming out and they are raving about this character because they just love him. And that is proof that it doesn't have to be gory to be good.
To be good. Okay.
Yeah, indeed. And I remember that. That was right before you encountered the Pumpkin King. And the
That whole setup with the Pumpkin King and the greenhouse. Oh,
so impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, from going through the lights on tour, we sort of knew to expect that. We knew that was coming up, but it was so good. But yeah, I know exactly the character you're talking about. And it was super cute. We're coming around the corner and we saw it. And I was like, I also thought the same thing. I was like, that's not real. That's not a real character, but it was incredible.
Yeah.
And I love, if you look in his room, you'll see there's severed heads that are all carved to be like jack-o'-lanterns.
Yes.
So he carves human heads to make them into jack-o'-lanterns.
A little tit for tat there.
I like that.
It's a little tit for tat.
Okay. So least favorite prop or character. Maybe you can't say character. I don't know. What's your least favorite scare there? Or the one that you're like, God, we've done this for so long. I'm so over it.
I'm trying to think, because we did a great deal. We said goodbye to a lot of things that we've had since we've moved into this building. This is our 11th year in this building, I think. 2012. This is our 12th. Whatever. I don't know how many years at this point. My brain's too tired after this long weekend.
It's a lot of years.
We've been there since 2012, but this year we took out a lot of things. And I think for me, it was our old bottomless pit, which was a really amazing effect. And guests, they've loved it every year. You'd go in and you walked across this rickety bridge, and it was an optical illusion to make it look like it fell into just a pit all the way down. And we said, at least for this version, it's time to say goodbye.
Yeah, and I remember, and were you saying that originally you had planned to possibly not even be in Tennessee at this point, but because there was so much going on, you kind of hung around to help complete.
Yeah, so last year I harassed our owner and said, let me add food and beverage, let me move our T-shirts out of the box office and sell them out here in the line. And he was very hesitant. I was like, buy me a popcorn machine, buy me a hot dog maker. I'll take care of everything. So I worked with the Knox County Health Department to get our permits to make sure we had everything that we had. And we made record-breaking sales because we didn't have any sales beforehand.
Right.
So here suddenly, we had all this additional income coming in off of the side that helped us be able to do more in the front of house area outside of the attraction. And we did so well that our owner surprised me, and he ended up buying me a 12-foot by 24-foot long outbuilding, and then we bought a secondary 12-foot by 8-foot building for our fortune teller. Mm-hmm. So we put her in a permanent building, and then we created a storage unit, and then we created an entire gift shop and concession stand. And let me tell you, that thing was an undertaking. We got it open ready just a few days before we opened. But there were so many projects that came about this year. The way we do season passes changed this year. The way that we handle the queue line is different. We were going to add a whole pre-show. We were going to add a third building, and we were going to put 40 people in it at a time and do a full pre-show, a 5-minute show. And then they would just go in the haunted attraction, and it would take place at that show that you get in the front room. Mm-hmm. And there were so many projects that we took on that I was like, I can't leave early. I need to stay through October. I need to see out and finish these projects that I've started and that our owner has entrusted me to put through. So I decided that I would stay through the season to get everything done. And so I will actually be leaving. We close on, what is it, Tuesday? Halloween's on a Tuesday this year.
Yeah.
That Saturday, we have our big crew party where all of our cast and crew come together and we just have a big party. I pick up my U-Haul that Sunday. I load it Sunday and I leave out on Monday. So it is literally like no time.
God, that's tight. That's a tight fucking schedule.
Well, the good thing is half of my stuff is already packed in a garage. And 95% of my stuff in my apartment is already in boxes. And I looked at my roommate and was like, you can have my entertainment center and that TV, and you can have these stools, and you can have that.
Yeah.
All I'm taking is my washer and dryer and stuff in my bedroom.
Yeah. Wow. You're going to be drained.
Yeah.
And that's going to be an emotional drive too. Cause like the come down after running, when do y'all start? Y'all start in June, July?
What do you mean by start? Like, when do we start working towards the next season? So we have a haunted attraction that takes place on or around Valentine's Day. It's our Valentine's Day Massacre haunt. We usually take about a month or two because that's the coldest, it's super cold and it costs a lot to heat and air condition. So we wait for about a month or two. May seems to really be into April, beginning of May really seems to be the kickoff. That's when we start deconstruction.
Okay.
And then we are there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, occasionally Saturdays, just depending on what kind of mood the crew's in and if we want to punch each other in the face or hug each other that week.
Yeah.
And we're there, 3 to 4 days a week.
And this starting in May?
Starting in May. And then, we'll occasionally take a week off here or a week off there, or these people go out and, have a life. But for the most part, we're there
so 6
May
months
on.
of 3 to 4 days a week.
Yep.
Wow.
And it's a lot of work. And there are a lot of times that, and I think our crew in the off season building, it's like me, Brad, Deanna, Gavin, occasionally Waylon, Rob, Justin. So there's about 6 to 9 of us that do it all.
Okay.
And that's it. And only some of us do the power tools. Like I can use power tools. I don't like table saws. I don't like blades. I don't like the things that make the really loud noises. It's a sensory thing for me. I don't like it. And so Brad's like, you're learning how to use a saw because you have walls to put up in a gift shop this year. So I used the saw unbegrudgingly.
I mean, I bet you were cute with it, though.
I was. That was adorable.
Adorable.
And my little coveralls.
What's that thing about Carhartt? People that don't do Carhartt stuff wearing Carhartt.
People want to wear Carhartt stuff, but they don't want to do Carhartt shit.
You were doing Carhartt shit.
And I don't even have Carhartt stuff.
Right?
It makes me sad.
I have another question. Do you need to talk?
No. You guys are doing great.
So, can you tell what's new things for next year?
Oh, good Lord. So I don't fully know. I know there's a lot of things going on right now. So it's a really good question that you ask that. So I guess this is to you guys and the people that are listening. So this is kind of exciting news. So through the pandemic, our business, we were so lucky. We're a mom and pop. We are a small business, and we were terrified the pandemic would shut us down. Our their listeners from the past know we've talked about it. We were super blessed, though. We were setting records, even with having to space people out and not mix groups. We were there super late, but we were setting records. The people still came. They followed the rules, and we've grown and we've grown and we've grown. And the time has come that we cannot grow anymore where we are. So if you go to Frightworks now and you go up to the ticket booths, you will see a sign on the window. Our owner is currently looking. He would like to stay in the Knoxville area, preferably in the city, because we are Knoxville's in-town indoor factory of fear, and we want to be able to keep that tagline. So we are looking for additional property to open a second attraction. And we do, I'm not saying we are opening a second attraction, but we're getting our feelers out there. We're looking to lease land, rent land, buy land. He would prefer it be zoned agriculturally because we'll be able to do more with the agricultural type of land. But he's up and willing to chat with anybody about any type of space. For me, even though I'm not going to be here anymore, I think the two most important things are ample parking, because that is something we run out of every night, and an indoor facility. So I think the indoor facility we have right now is 13,000 square feet. They're hoping to find something that's at least 15, maybe bigger. But, keeping in mind, we are a mom and pop. We're open. We make all of our money in 17 nights, and then we live on that money for a year. That's our rent, our pay to pay our staff, to renovate. All of that is just off those 17 nights. So I'm super excited for them. I'm glad to hear that news for them, that they are ready to look for additional spaces to continue to grow. So if you know of any, let me know. I know he's got a lot of great plans. He did tell me recently, because we were talking about the actual story for the haunt this year. And I was like, well, last year it was they were coming into the haunt and then everything went bad. And this year it's, oh, welcome back. We fixed all of the problems. But we were like, should we do it that way, or should we do it as in, hi, I'm from the state inspector's office. I'm here to inspect the vault, but I can't find any of the staff. What's going on in here? And then we ended up going with, there's a guy in the front room and he's like, everything's great. Welcome back. We've taken care of everything.
By the way, he was spectacular.
Oh, I love him.
He was great. It was a great way to start the whole thing off. Like he just immediately rolled right into the character. And so right from the get-go, it was just spectacular.
Mm-hmm.
I lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. So, and then they go into the vault, and then all the staff's like, shit, everything's gone to hell. Shit hits the fan. Run, help. And Rob looked at me, and he goes, oh, don't worry about the story. He goes, I have plans for next year. So I know it has something to do with Vault 67 still, but I have no clue what he scared me. The look he gave me on his face, I'm just
Little
like, what are you getting ready to do?
Okay.
So I guess we'll all figure out next year what's going to happen.
Okay.
You speaking back to something you said, I do remember you were talking about going through the pandemic and all that stuff, and you guys did that. You guys 100% were working through that. They were there. If anybody wants to dig back through our archives a little bit, you'll see when they were trying to manage Frightworks with the pandemic going on and social distancing and all those regulations, and they were still operating then. That was a lot. Mm-hmm. We were like, how the fuck do you, how are you going to get people, it's a lot.
A lot of tears and a lot of virtual queue line is how we managed that.
Jesus.
We needed fake scares because the reality was scary enough back then.
Yes. You mentioned something I thought was pretty interesting. So you said you needed to get permits from the state inspector or whatever. Mm-hmm. What is it like to have somebody come in as opposed to running a deli when you run a actual haunted attraction, to have them come in and do permits? Do they have to walk through and look at all the stuff?
Yeah, so we go through several different types of inspections over the years. So we are considered a permanent attraction. So we're not pop-up, so we don't have to get inspected I don't want to say all the time. We do get inspected all the time. I don't know exactly the difference between pop-up and permanent.
Sure.
But, we have the fire marshal comes out and does their inspection. And then we have state inspectors that come out additionally as I think they're more of a insurance type of inspection. They come out and I will say this because I'm not our owner, so I can say this. Our inspectors came through 2 years ago, and I was present that day when they came through, and they walked through and they saw everything. And we always joke, an inspector will always find something. They have to. They have to find something to say, you need to fix it. And these two people, they walked through the entire attraction, jaws on the floor, and they were like, this is probably the most well-done maze attraction we've ever walked in. You have emergency exit lights. You have everything that you need. You have maps. And she said, the only thing I will recommend, and I was like, there it is. There it is. She found something.
Wait for it.
Is her recommendation was to paint a white line on the floor in staff areas with arrows on it. That way, if there was a fire and people had to crawl, they would be able to follow that white line to the nearest exit. So we ended up we've got a bunch of arrows that say exit on them, and they glow in the dark, and we've created a path of travel in the back. So if there is smoke in there, guests can actually see. But the inspectors have always been great. We have wonderful relationships with them. Then we have the fire extinguisher company that comes out, then inspects all of that, and then the Knox County Health Department came out. And I have a background in food and beverage, but it's so nervous and terrifying. Even though I know all of the things, I know what to say, I know what to make sure, it's terrifying because these people are coming into your space and you're like, okay, do I have everything? Do I have everything checked off? Because the last thing you want is to think you're set up and you're ready and them to come in and say, you're not ready. You don't have what you need. It's too dirty, or it's this, or it's that. And then them leave. And the perception of your business is they're trying to make a quick buck.
Yeah.
And that's not what the goal was not for us to make money off of the gift shop. At the end of the day, yes, it is, because that money is being turned around and used to create more guest experiences outside. But the goal that I want to do is we have guests that are there 2, 3, sometimes 3.5 hours, as our busiest night was this season. And we wanted to give them food and beverage so they don't have to go to the fast food restaurant next door and spend $15 for a sandwich and a drink. $5 gets you a hot dog, chips, soda. We've got walking tacos. We have all these additional things now.
What's a walking taco?
You don't know what a walking taco is?
No, but I'm intrigued.
Well, I call it a walking chili pie because I don't use hamburger meat in it.
Okay.
Because I use canned chili because it's easier for us. We don't have a full kitchen with a hood range.
Yeah.
So we use different methods. So it's chili. And you have your choice between a bag of Fritos or a bag of nacho cheese Doritos. So we put that in the bottom of the bowl, cover it with chili. Then we cover it in shredded cheese, sour cream, and onions. And it's delicious.
Why did we not get one of those?
I don't know. I feel like you would have sniffed that out somehow.
I know. I'll be back.
They're really good. And we added lattes this year. You know, I had a background working at Starbucks for many years.
I remember.
And I said, there's nothing that these little white girls love more than a pumpkin spice latte.
Oh my gosh.
True.
I mean, if you just got a Frappuccino machine, you'd be right there with it too.
What did you just call it?
Frappuccino.
I thought you said a frappuccino, and I was like, what is that?
No, I have a former partner of 5 years with Starbucks.
Heck yeah.
3 of my children have worked for Starbucks.
Love that. You know, that has
We
been...
get so mad when people would come in and be like, can I get a frappe? I'm like, McDonald's is next door.
My old shift supervisor told his girls to pull out of the drive-through, turn right, drive half a mile, and go to McDonald's. It's a frappuccino here. We copyrighted the name.
Yes, I feel that.
Coffee wars.
Yeah.
It's the time. But yeah, no, so we've got a lot of extra fun things. And yeah, so to answer your question, it is terrifying to have all of those inspections, but I'm very confident every time that they come through that we've got everything that we need and we're ready
Well, and
for
I would
them.
imagine that they probably, when they come through, I would imagine they probably either get a really big kick out of it, like seeing all the rooms, like the
It's probably the funnest place to I mean, I know hair
gotta be.
salons aren't fun. I get nervous I'm going to have too many combs in my barbicide. So, I mean, I feel like as an inspector, going to a place like a haunted house will just be badass.
I would imagine they're fighting over who gets to go.
Right, that's
but
what I
I
would
could also imagine every now and then maybe you get one that's just really put off.
This is the devil's work. I can't believe I gotta go look at it. Sorry.
This is just sickening.
I've never seen any one of those. Now, one thing I will say is, we take safety as our number one priority inside and outside the attractions. So every night we're open, doesn't matter if it's a busy night or a slow night, we hire 2 Knox County Sheriff's officers to be there. And we have one officer that he's like the head of like additional shift things like that. Because this is them. I don't know if they're picking up overtime or what it is that they're doing, but the guy that heads it up, he has been with Frightworks for as long as I have been there. You know, over 10 years, this guy heads up. He comes out for a few shifts a season, and I've heard the officers fight with each other over who gets to pick up the shifts to go to Frightworks. Not so they get an extra shift and they get paid, but because they just love coming out and hanging out at Frightworks.
Yeah.
That totally
I could
tracks.
see that.
That totally checks out. Let me ask you this. Speaking of like people that show up and do things, have you guys ever had protesters? Have you ever had like any like like religious protesters?
Anti-Halloween people.
Yeah, any of that stuff?
No, not that I'm aware of. You know,
They reserve that for the queer alphabet, but that's okay.
yeah. We do have some large churches in our vicinity, but from my understanding, we have a very good relationship with the PAL community. I'm a part of the I Love PAL Facebook.
Same,
you know, the mom groups.
Wow.
I stay in that specifically so I can keep an eye out to see if anyone is complaining of our music's too loud or they're not enjoying something that we're doing in the community. And I've never actually seen anyone say anything about Frightworks on there. We're not satanic blood worshippers sacrificing goats in the back. You got to go to another haunted house in Knoxville if you want to see that. They don't sacrifice goats. I will say that. They're actually really great people. But we've got people on our staff that are pagan. We have people on our staff that are Christian. They all intermingle. They all get together super well. We've got staff that leaves at 10 o'clock on They leave early on Saturday nights because they have to go to a Southern Baptist church in the morning, and we have church groups that come. They come and they buy 25 tickets.
That is so
and bring
much
their youth
better
group.
because there used to be those things. I grew up Baptist, and we had those haunted houses called Judgment House
and Hell House. Yeah.
So the fact that there are youth groups that are like just coming to a real haunted house and not
Wait a second. Roll this back.
Do you not know what Judgment House is?
Hold on.
It starts out with a car wreck.
Hold on a cotton picking minute.
Do you know what I'm talking
Yes.
about?
Yes. Those things are crazy.
Is this like the Christian version of a haunted house attraction?
Yes, but it's like
the seven. It's like the 7 deadly sins.
That too, but like there's a simulation of the rapture where you're the one that's left, and then there's a car wreck where like where would you go when you die? And then Judgment House.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think I've gone to like 4 times. This was like 90,
and they're more gory than most haunted houses.
They really are
because they want to scare the youth
hell out of
into being Christian and doing
behaving. They're trying to scare you into good behavior.
Yeah.
Holy shit! Is there one around here? I would like to see this.
I know there's still some in Chattanooga. I can find you, babe.
There was one in Sevierville years ago.
Shocker.
But I haven't seen it since.
Don't get all
the Christian Las Vegas.
Yeah, it is.
I've actually had people in my jobs in Sevier County at the Moonshine Distillery in Dollywood. People have said this is like the Christian Las Vegas, and I'm just like
spot on.
There's so much there though. We just need an arc.
But I see now they're trying to open liquor stores in the city limits of Sevierville. So I'm like, oh God, people are gonna be on social media damning us to hell
as they're pulling out of the liquor store.
They're pulling out of the liquor store.
Yeah. There's a lot more of that liquor in the Christian community than they like to let on. But no, it's funny. No offense to the Christians, but dude. Okay, Judgment House. I'm gonna have to figure this out.
Yeah, we'll find one.
There used to be a haunted attraction out on Clinton Highway, not terribly far from Frightworks. It was called Dante's Haunted Inferno attraction or something. It was put on by a church, and
it sounds similar. Then
I've heard of them.
Maybe it was kind of, but there was not so much a story. Like literally, you just rode on the back of a flatbed truck up a mountain, and like a hay bale truck. And then they dropped you off at this little village, and then you were basically just got chased through the woods by chainsaws for 25 minutes. And it wasn't terrible. I mean, it was super low budget, but it was sort of fun. But at the end, when it was all over and everybody was going back down the mountain to their car, we'd pile up in this truck. And on the way down the mountain, the truck would stop, and there was like a little miniature theater. It would open up, and this guy would come out dressed like Jesus, and just sort of be like, "Hey guys, I died for your sins. Try not to die on the way down the mountain." And then you just go. It was super casual. Like,
hang on, y'all. I found it. Judgment House. Encourage, empower, and equip the local church. It is a walk-through gospel presentation about people's choices and the consequences of those choices, both in this life and the next, for the last 40 years. That means it started when I was like 6. For the last 40 years, we have partnered with the local church around the world to put on their own Judgment House experience in order to reach their communities with the life-changing message of Jesus Christ. Our goal is to have the gospel presented in a new way, so hearts may be turned to the Lord. It's innovative and creative, and it's been effective as young and old participate, seeing the gospel message come alive. Boom. There you go.
That's Judgment House.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? Look, so again,
I don't know if the gospel presented and turn and burn would really do it for me. I want someone to be really loving, and I'm like, wait, you're kind of nice, but the turn and burn. No.
I think it's funny when like the church has all these, and again, I'm not shitting on the Christians. I consider myself a Christian, so I'm not going in. I have some problems with organized religion, but we'll get into that later. But I think it's funny when they have their version of everything,
right?
Like they have their version of trick or treating, which is like
it's like an
trunk or treating.
Fall festival.
Fall festivals. I used to dress up as Esther because she wore purple. When we would have the church ones, I would always pick Esther.
Let me tell you something. As I was growing up is when the trunk or treats became a thing. And I hate them. We have ruined Halloween with trunk or treating. Like, and let me tell you, you know what is the most heartbreaking thing is going through these subdivisions and seeing these old people with their lights on. And, you know, they're older, maybe their husband or wife has died, they're by themselves, and they've got their light on, and they've got 100 pounds of candy.
And they only get 3.
And they get 3 kids come through. It's the most heartbreaking thing. And I'm like, stop changing tradition. It's great to change tradition when it needs to be changed. don't touch trick-or-treating.
Yeah.
No one is putting the Cusco's poison in your kid's Snickers. No one's putting... Have you guys seen that internet meme?
No.
Someone's like, I found Cusco's poison, the poison for Cusco. You know that from Emperor's New Groove?
Yes.
And then it's just a little bottle it's a CGI photo of the bottle of poison from Emperor's New Groove in a Snickers.
Aww.
And I love that. That is my internet meme of this entire month.
That and turnips.
Turnips, yeah.
That and turnips. Yeah.
Shit. Judgment House. Judgment House sounds like a really kick-ass rap rock band from the 90s.
Did you know that Frightworks has had its own band for a little while?
No.
Stop.
It was called Lesbian Car Crash.
Oh, I love that.
What?
Yeah, they didn't ever do they never wrote a single song, but they stood on the front porch and took the most badass album cover photo and
Love
then
it.
just said, "We're Lesbian Car Crash."
It's amazing.
I like that.
Amazing.
I like that. Yeah.
It was
Lesbian
great.
Car Crash is the best name for a band. It's so good.
Do you want to know what they were driving?
What?
A U-Haul.
Of course they were. Of course they were. Man.
So good.
I said it would have been even better if it was a Penske truck instead, but they said U-Haul.
I don't know. I feel like U-Haul is the stereotypical.
But that's why. It would have been funny if it was a Penske because
That's not
it's
stereotyp-
because
I
it's a
got
lesbian
you.
car crash. They crashed because it wasn't a U-Haul.
A U-Haul, it didn't
I've
thrive.
put a lot of thought into this
I
fake
see.
band.
I see. Yeah. No, that's fair. And
They were really
relevant.
big on the East Coast in 2001.
Oh my god.
They were so big.
Were they
Yeah.
in flannel?
Some of them were. Some of them were.
I was going to say that's a little judgmental. He was like, actually, yes.
No.
I'm in
we all
flannel.
know the lesbian code.
I'm in flannel
Flannel's
right now.
a staple.
It is.
It really
Look,
is.
where does it stop? If you start making generalizations
So
like
are
this,
like either green or navy docks. Have
You're
you
gonna-
noticed that? Most lesbians
I've
have
never
like a
noticed that.
green
Is
or
that-
navy pair of docks.
is there like a code? Like, do they really know?
You're talking about Doc
Martens, yeah.
Let me tell you something. I hated how the straight people are wearing them because now I see a guy in Docs and I'm like, is he family or not? I can't.
tell.
Usually I could look at a guy and be like, oh, he's wearing Docs. He's a part of my family.
Yes.
And now I'm just like, oh, are
Everybody's
you?
doing it.
I know. What's next? Flannel's
I didn't know
next.
there was a color code.
There kind of is.
Well, and then there's a lot of people say Subaru. Look out.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
I didn't invent the
Yeah.
rules. These are
Yeah.
just the world plays out this way in front of me.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, what about, speaking of Halloween, like what about this? What are some of, Babs, you've never been out here to talk about this. What are some of your favorite Halloween traditions? When you were involved heavily in the church, were you guys,
This will be real short.
Were you guys
'cause, like,
anti-Halloween?
It stops. Like my parents found my brothers are 10 and 7 years older than me, and my dad was a naval officer, and so like they threw all sorts of parties. My mom got a call one year, was like, "Do you have the two little tigers turning over pumpkins?" Because my brothers were just raising hell. Like they totally embraced it. My dad dressed up in a gorilla suit on the porch, like really still, and would get his jollies out of like scaring the kids.
you guys sound so much fun.
It was. And then like around 7 years, when I was 7, like they found the Lord. And so
And he had no room for Halloween.
he had no room for Halloween. So it just stopped. And we kind of did the Esther Bible festivals. But I remember vividly in the 5th grade, like my parents were those people that would turn off all the lights and we would like hide in the den, and just pray for the night to be over soon. And I would just sit there.
Wait,
like,
on Halloween?
fuming on Halloween.
Oh,
yeah.
fuck.
We got egged a few times because of that, actually. And so, but there was, I think it was like 5th or 6th grade. And I'm so mad at those neighbors because they ratted me out. I put on my mom's Mary Kay mask that was green. And like put a bandana on. I mean, I wasn't dressed up at all, but I felt like the mask was sufficient. I just wanted some fucking candy. And so like I snuck out and I went to my neighbors, and like on the 3rd neighbor, they called my parents. And so I got grounded, and Halloween was like on hold for me until like 10th grade and 11th grade when I had friends that were driving. And then it was a ruckus among us. It was great. But no, I don't really have great childhood Halloween, and that's probably why Spencer's seen my house. Like it's a lot. Like I take down wall art and put up Halloween wall art,
the way to do
and
it.
my whole, even in the bathroom now I've got like a little Halloween rug, and so I think that might be why I go overboard. And even at work, I dress up. Like starting with October 1st, unless I just feel like shit, there is something Halloween on me. every day at work.
In October. Yeah,
In
you really
October.
lean into
I
it.
do, yeah.
I had no idea. And again, anybody listening that has been through this or possibly still experiences this, I apologize. I had no idea that people that were opposed to Halloween were like really had a dreadful night that night. Like
we celebrated the next day. That was Reformation Sunday or Reformation Day when Martin Luther nailed the 97 shits on the wall. And we were just trying to get through Halloween to get through celebrating Presbyterianism. That was a lot.
Shit.
But yeah.
That is a lot.
It was pretty traumatic, actually. Like, no bobbing for apples, no
Ooh, dude.
So.
Were you guys allowed to, did you guys read Harry Potter? Were you allowed to read Harry Potter?
When I'm not that young, so when Harry Potter came out, my child was born.
Oh,
so
same.
we read a lot of Harry Potter, but I was grown and making my own decisions at that point.
I get it. Okay, I get it. I remember. I guess I was older too, but I remember having this conversation with a extremely devout Christian friend of mine. Like, do you feel like Harry Potter's bad? I've heard some people.
Yeah.
Let the kids read.
Dungeons and Dragons was of the devil. None of the scary stuff growing up for me.
Shit, doesn't that make you want to go do it more?
100%.
Like, isn't that just the way it works? You try to take something from somebody, they're just going to find it. Mm-hmm. Fuck. Wow. I can't. Yeah.
Did you grow up celebrating Halloween?
I grew up...
Because you're like the fucking matriarch of Halloween.
I grew up loving Halloween and Harry Potter, that I was Harry Potter for 5 years in a row.
I could so see
And my
that.
mom was like, you have to be something else this year. She made me do something else.
Yeah.
But no, I grew up in a Southern Baptist household. Back row Baptist
though.
here. We
Okay.
sat at the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're super chill. We watched horror movies. Now, that being said, my family was a split family. So my dad's family was very religious, but also very accepting of the world as it was. So I pretty much did whatever I wanted to there. My mother's side of the family, she went to sleep every night watching The Exorcist of Emily Rose. So
wow.
I later in my adult years realized that she has some mental disabilities. She's schizophrenia, Lord, and a couple of other things. And she, growing up, she was like, I can see dead people and I can talk to ghosts and all of these things. And as an adult now, I'm going, oh, that's the schizophrenia.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, my family, they were here for it. So we had it.
I feel like I made up for it, though. My kids are 19 to 25. I have 4 of them. And I feel like I made up for it with them because we had some pretty good traditions as far as and it was people from I was married to a minister. So it was people from the church as well as neighborhood. And, we'd have a cookout with hot dogs and chili. And then we'd all drink and we'd take a big wagon and walk around. And then talking about Harry Potter, when Harry Potter would come out, we would dress up as a family and go and see the midnight showing. So I feel like I compensated well for my lack of it. And my dad still to this day is kind of there's nothing Halloweeny in his house. For his birthday, I got him a skeleton wiener dog. And I'm so impressed that he has it. It's sitting out by the front door. He's got his one little Halloween decoration.
Good.
So,
Good.
Yeah, my goal to get him to love Halloween and get a tattoo before he passes.
Were you once you sort of reached the age of enlightenment? Were you surprised at how much fun Halloween is?
Yeah. Well, so what really did it for me is I went to school with a kid whose family was very well off, and they owned, I don't know if they're still a thing, but the Republic parking garages in Chattanooga. So they had this huge property out in the boonies, out in Ooltewah, if you're from Chattanooga. And they had this barn that was so clean. It wasn't really a barn. I mean, it was like a party room. But so they would, the whole month of October, take their whole house and their property, and the family threw a party. So it was for all the adult hoity-toity people in Chattanooga, but it was also for the kids and their friends. And so it was, 250 people, and you maybe only knew 30 of them because you were connected to the son or the daughter or the mom or the dad. But they did these hay rides and they had the bobbing for apples and a band was typically, and I was like, what is this life? And Marshall had grown up doing that since he was 5 years old. And I was like, there are people that are normal and love this shit. So yeah, it's like when Willy Wonka turned into color, maybe, or no, it was Wizard of Oz that turned into color. It was like that. It was once I saw how fun celebrating the season could be, I was like, oh.
And you know what? That right there, that is what America needs to be great again. Yes. Block parties and just people gathering like that. I remember, because that's what, or someone down the street did that. They put up I'm going to call it a trash bag fence. It was like it was like 8 foot tall all the way around this like big, huge spot of land. And everyone in the city of Rockford, little old Rockford, we all went. Everybody went there, and there was a bonfire, and there was food, and there were drinks. And of course, I was really young at the time, so I didn't realize the adults were having such a great time because they was just drunk off their rear ends.
Yeah.
But there was such an amount of camaraderie, and you talk to neighbors that you didn't know, and that's how communities got to know each other. And no one does that anymore. And if you notice, communities don't know each other anymore.
Speaks Out groups. You think we could coordinate something like that
virtually?
Virtually. Rockford. I think that's close to where I live. I see a little sign that says "Welcome to Rockford" at the end of Pellissippi, Marble. Eagles, yeah. Maybe we could start that shit back up.
That's where I was born and raised.
I would 100% agree. I think people, I don't know, like the more people celebrate together, they find that they have more in common than they do with their differences, but you get people on the internet, it just gets really easy to fight.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you do for Halloween, Spencer?
I mean, usually, so for starters, I try to do at least one or two of these podcasts to get at least highlight some of the fun stuff about Halloween. Like we had one earlier. My friend brought all this haunted shit in here. Like Joe Hurley.
Possessed stuff. Yeah.
He brought all this possessed stuff, and he told a story about visiting Bobby Mackey's haunted attraction.
I listened to that a couple weeks ago.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the Sensabog Tunnel. I've been there. I turned my car off. It turned back on, though.
Oh, yeah. Up in Johnson City.
Yep.
Yeah. We try to at least do the podcast, a couple things. Always try to make it to Frightworks for sure. And then, I don't know, I just try to just have fun and watch horror movies and just kind of, I try to celebrate just the spirit of the season every year. I try to go back. I always want to watch Pet Sematary at least once, which we just like anything. Try to get.
We watched the second one.
Yeah, and get some scary movies. We usually have a big Halloween party so shout out to my brother Brandon Hudson, also a very frequent guest to Beacon House. He and I have birthdays in October that are very close to one another. So what we do is we just throw one big Halloween party, and we kind of use the birthday excuse to try to get everybody to the party. And he builds a fire, and we wear costumes, and but we just try to go all in. We love Halloween totally, and then usually on Halloween night, I just try to go be around some friends or something, like if there's something going on. Lately, it's been in the middle of the week, so it's not like a big thing. But I'll usually go try to maybe to the old city or something and see. I try to pop in at Brother Wolf. I
was going to say Brother Wolf is, in my opinion, the best decorations.
It turns into Brother
Halloween.
Werewolf.
Yeah.
For the month of October, and they do such a good job.
It's so cute, and she's got all this crap hanging from the ceiling, and
and they're showing horror movies. Like they've got a projector inside. It's great. Shout out to Aaron and Rabbit. I mean, they do such a good job. If you guys don't know about Brother Wolf, just pop in. It's great.
Yes.
Get their meatballs.
The meat from the restaurant next door.
So good.
So good. So yeah, I just try to do all the things. I try to pepper in a little bit of all of it. I love October so much, mainly because it sort of crescendos right into Halloween, and then usually the weather gets shitty after that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. What's this?
Okay. So I do have ADHD, and that thing where you go to get something out of another room and you get distracted and you forget. I do this thing where I make sign language letters so I don't forget, because that helps. So I did a D for Dollywood. Are there any scary, weird, haunted experiences you had when you worked there?
Ooh, that's a great question.
Is there any place that you would say is haunted on the Dolly, or is the Southern Baptist Christian Six Flags or Christian Vegas protected? I want to know.
The Dolly Dome.
The Dolly Dome.
I'm trying to think. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head.
Well, have you had anything supernatural happen at the haunted house then?
Oh God. Yeah, actually, I won't go full into this story because I know we've talked about it on the episode in the past, but I, back in the day, was working in a scene that was very technologically advanced. You looked at the outside wall and it was wires everywhere because everything was moving by itself, and there were lights and all this stuff. And people say that ghosts or entities are pulled to power, to electricity. So this is the room that has all of the stuff going on.
Yeah.
And I was a fortune teller. I would read people's palms. I was Gertrude, and I just started doing a thing, and then my breath just started to get more and more shallow, and then the next thing I know, my entire body just tensed up and my face locked up and I couldn't talk. And at that point, I hadn't been hyperventilating or panicking, but then the panic set in.
Yeah.
And they had to come in and pick me up and carry me out in the middle of like groups were coming through and I'm still acting, waiting on them to like find me help. They had to like come pick me up in an ambulance and take me to the hospital. So here I am, like freshly 18 years old in high whore drag and all this crazy makeup on my face. And they roll me into triage at the hospital and it gets so silent you can hear a pin drop.
Yeah.
And I just go, come to Frightworks, come see me. And the whole while, like my back is arched and I look like I'm possessed on this like roller as they're rolling me into a tree.
What?
It was hilarious. But no, have you guys ever seen, there's a movie called Hell House.
Oh yeah. LLC.
Maybe
Hell House LLC.
Yeah. I think it's supposed to be based on true events where these people go to this old abandoned haunted house and they open a haunted house and then something happens on opening night and people die. And we watched that. Where other than Frightworks?
That sounds logical, yeah.
And
getting geared up for the season.
Yeah, during the actual October season, there are some nights that I will pull an overnight shift where I will stay at Frightworks all night and I'll nap on the couch at night. Because unfortunately in the month of October, that is going to be the time that people are trying to break in or mess with things and do stuff. So we have additional security that we keep around during that time of the year. And you know, it'll be 1 o'clock in the morning and Rob's like, okay, I'm leaving, bye. And it's like, okay. And I'm watching TV and then I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to take a nap. And then I realize, crap, the lights are on in the workshop all the way in the back of the attraction on the other side of 13,000 square feet of space.
Yeah.
So then you're walking the
You're talking about the place where you're building the cement thing. Okay.
Yeah. All the way in the back.
So you're going through that by yourself at Frightworks, like, oh shit.
With only minimal work lights turned on. And then suddenly you see a black thing just across your path at the end of the mine shaft. And then your heart just freezes. And then you're like, okay, I got to keep going. So then you walk through and then something moves, or an animatronic, because when the air comes out of all these animatronics, they usually drop down and sag. Sometimes they'll stay in the upright position until a little gust of wind hits them, and then they'll lean over. Or drop down panels will slide down.
I would have tinkled on myself so many times.
And it's so funny because I'm like, it's not real, it's all fake. I literally built it. And there have been times that I turn the light off and I know that shadow demon is chasing me, so I go into a full ass sprint through the mine shaft to get back to the front of the attraction, because I'm just like, it's all in your head. But once you watch a movie of like bad stuff happening in a haunted house and then you have to walk around that haunted house knowing that there are X many points of entry that people could get in from here to here to here, then like every movement that happens and you're in that building by yourself is a demon coming to cut your throat open.
Well, because that's how horror movies start out. Like everything is fine until it's not, and then like something comes to life that's not supposed to come to life. Like, oh my God, it scared the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Oh, no. Okay.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
But so nothing at Dollywood, though. It's sacred
Not that
ground,
I can. I'm over here thinking. I'm like, I know there probably was. If you asked me like a week ago, it would have given me enough time to like comb back through the things.
That's fair.
I will say this is probably the craziest thing that ever happened at Dollywood. There was a gentleman who worked there. Him and his wife both worked there, and it was during the harvest celebration several years ago. She was over in the Splash Country parking lot carving jack-o'-lanterns, because at Dollywood, every single week they replace the live jack-o'-lanterns so they don't get moldy and nasty and everything. Mm-hmm. So they've got a whole team just carving jack-o'-lanterns the whole month of October.
How do you get that gig?
I love that.
I think my hands would be dying after the first like 2 days. But her husband worked on an attraction, and he was rotating to his next position, and he collapsed on the stairs and had a heart attack. And he, unfortunately, he did pass away. But, and it happened, I'm going to make the time up because I don't remember exactly off the top of my head, but it happened at like 11:15 is when the call came over the radio of, we have a host down to our safety dispatch. And when I saw her, his wife, several days later, I had heard that at 11:15, they said she just stopped working and said, something is wrong. Where's my husband? And that to me has been the most...
That's a little weird.
I don't want to say disturbing, but it's to have that form of...
Connection.
Yes, connection with your life partner, to know that when they are about 5 miles away from you, something is wrong the moment that it happened before it comes across the radio.
Yeah.
Is probably just... That has been one of the weirdest, second weirdest thing to ever happen to me in my life. And it's one of those things I just can't explain.
Yeah, yeah.
So It was a weird one. The other one was the time that I saw is it a poltergeist? What's it? The shadow, when you just see the silhouette. What is that called? Is that a poltergeist?
I think a poltergeist is a particularly active ghost, but then again, I don't know for sure.
What do you mean seen a shadow? When have you seen a shadow?
So when I was a young child, I was in my grandparents. It was Thanksgiving, and it was Thanksgiving morning. My grandmother wakes up really early before the sun rises
Gotta make
to
them
start.
biscuits, yeah.
And I have to sleep in her formal living room. I say formal because it's a house built in the 60s.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm in the formal living room, and if you look to the far end of the living room, you see the door that goes to the hallway that goes to all the bedrooms. And I woke up and I rolled over, and I mean solid black, like someone had cut out a cardboard cutout of a super tall man whose head was almost at the very top of the door frame, was just standing. There was no movement at all. It was just arms down to the side, legs, no facial features. You couldn't see through him. It was just solid back. And I was petrified. And I just sat there for probably 10 to 15 minutes with my eyes open because I just couldn't even close my eyes. I couldn't roll over and look away. And finally, I'd mustered up enough courage at like 7 years old to close my eyes. And then I fell back asleep. And then I woke up again, and it was gone, and the family was up, and they were cooking. And I said it to my grandmother, and even my grandmother was like, okay. Never happened again in that house, and I lived in that house until I was an adult.
Well, we're getting near the end of our time here. This has been a phenomenal discussion. And I would say, to wrap it all up, thank God for things that go bump in the night. Thank God for anything that gets your pulse racing a little bit. And maybe, I think it's okay. I think it's fun to get a little scared here and there. Like, I don't necessarily, I'm in an age now where I don't necessarily think danger is fun anymore. Because, like, I'm at the age where danger feels expensive. It feels like doctor bills and missed work and, like, achy back and dumb shit. Like,
those knees ain't fresh out the box no more.
The fucking like empty bank account, and like that's what danger looks like.
Yeah.
But the fun stuff, I think, fun safe scares, I think are a wonderful thing to have.
I don't know. I see those ones where it's like you can win $20,000 if you stay in this place overnight or whatever. And
I'll do it.
I want to do it. I really want to do one of those things.
If you could win that much money, I would 100% do it. I believe Joe Hurley one time was asking some of the former host Casey and Hunter, like, if they would go with him to the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. It's supposed to be massively haunted, and you can stay there. You can like camp in it and stay overnight. And I was like, well, how much do you get? He's like, well, you don't get anything for it. You just get the thrill. I was like, that's like a 4-hour car ride.
Yeah, no, there's some that they pay you to do.
If you got money, I would 100% do that. Totally would do that.
Yeah.
But taking a whole day off work and just staying in a creepy old building, you might not see anything. I would just rather go to Frightworks right down the road,
Fair.
So anyway, well, dude, thank you so much for coming, and we obviously wish you very well in your endeavors, and we want to please keep in touch. Let us know how it's going. We'll follow on social media. Like, we want to.
Are you going to pop back next season, like just for a weekend?
So I don't know yet. I know I do plan to be back for CreepyCon Halloween and Horror Convention, since Gertrude is an icon character. I hope to be back by then, but currently I don't plan to be back in East Tennessee until at least August.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Well, drop us a line when you're coming back in.
I hope we get to do the fashion show together again. That'd be cool.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind getting you two back together and do a podcast maybe when that happens. Okay. I feel like that would be pretty good.
Be fun.
Maybe we should put a pin in it?
Yeah.
All right. Well, signing off from Beacon House. Please, everybody go check out Frightworks. If you hear this episode in time, please get in there and check them out. Please follow Dustin Payne on social media. I believe you're at Dustin Paul Payne.
Something like that. If you type in Dustin Payne on Instagram, it usually comes up.
Get in there, because I promise you, it will be worth the follow. And maybe tell a friend to listen to Beacon House too. Hey, Babs, thank you so much for coming in and guest hosting. How did you like it?
It was fun.
Yeah. I feel like you did well.
Thanks.
I will forgive Grace. I think she never wants to meet me. I've tried to meet her several times.
You guys keep
I'm convinced that she's just like, I don't want to meet him. Grace, if you hear this, it's okay. I still love you, and I hope to meet you one day.
It's a deal. And with that, we're going to sign off from Beacon House saying safe and happy Halloween to everybody. Or what's the other thing? The Judgment House. Have fun getting judged, everybody. Bye-bye. That's it.